Yes, free agency. The big wave has come by. It's time to talk some Chiefs football here on the Red, Gold, and Bold. And the Chiefs not just signing free agents, they're making trades. With you, as always, Jeff Chadiha, Sam McDowell, Soren Petro. We're going to talk about the deal for Justin Fields. They have a backup quarterback, a 27 sixth-round pick goes for Fields. Is he worth that? We'll talk about what the Chiefs are actually paying, what it means for the return of Patrick Mahomes, how they might use Fields once Mahomes comes back. We'll get into all things backup quarterback. It is the offseason after all. And we'll talk about the free agency for the rest of the AFC West. Best move, worst move. Are they better or worse for the Raiders, the Chargers, and the Denver Broncos? We'll do it all right here, right now on the Red, Gold, and Bold.
You are listening to the Red, Gold, and Bold podcast, the most in-depth analysis of the Kansas City Chiefs on planet Earth, breaking down the Chiefs like no one else can. Red, Gold, and Bold is hosted by Jeff Chadiha, Sam McDowell, and Soren Petro. Jeff Chadiha is a senior columnist and on-air personality for the NFL Network and NFL.com. Sam McDowell is a columnist for the Kansas City Star. Soren Petro is the afternoon drive host of the program on Sports Radio 810 WHB in Kansas City. The Red, Gold, and Bold podcast is proudly brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete, Kansas City's nationally recognized full-service paving and pavement maintenance contractor, making parking lot problems disappear in Kansas City since 1994. Free consultations, no commissions, in-house crews, and every project comes with a written warranty. Find them online at GannAsphalt.com or call 816-484-3338. Gann Asphalt and Concrete, one contractor, all things parking lot. Now, here are the hosts of the Best Chiefs podcast, Jeff Chadiha, Sam McDowell, and Soren Petro.
Thank you very much, Curtis. We do appreciate it. And we've got a trade to discuss, gentlemen. Justin Fields, I think the guy that everybody wanted, right? Everyone was talking about. Not really. But it does make a little bit of sense, or does it? Jeff, your reaction when you first saw that the Chiefs have moved a 27-6 for a guy that's got just this 1 year under contract?
Yeah, it's strange. Didn't see it coming. I don't really know how it fits unless – look, maybe there is a chance they want to do more running of the quarterback when Patrick Mahomes isn't involved. Maybe we've talked about this forever. Maybe a guy who's a goal line specialist, short yardage specialist. But aside from that, I mean, you're talking about a quarterback who really has been an inconsistent passer throughout his career. 3 teams have decided they did not want to keep him around. And when you're talking about a year where your quarterback is coming off an ACL tear and is trying to put a new offense in or try to revamp your offense, it just seems like if Patrick Mahomes is hurt, is this the guy you want to have running your team? And I just don't think that's what you want.
Yeah. What'd you think of this deal, Sam? What was your first reaction, at least?
Well, there's one way where it really fits, which is I think it's just super low cost. And I don't think this is a position that the Chiefs should be heavily investing in if they believe Patrick Mahomes is going to be ready for week 1. The second way it actually really fits is a way that I do not think they'll use him at all, which is like he is very effective in short yardage in different ways. You know, obviously I've been beating this drum whenever they had Carson Wentz to use him as a quarterback sneak. The Chiefs never did. Fields is more athletic. If you put him in on 3rd and 4th downs, he offers some. And I've got some numbers we can go through as this segment progresses, but I just don't have confidence the Chiefs are going to use him that way. In which case, I agree with Jeff. That's a little bit of an unusual fit in the sense that if he does have to start a game, he's not going to just be plugged into right into what your offense is doing. And if he is, then you're not using his skill set to the maximum advantage.
Yeah, I listen, a while ago, I had some folks kind of tell me that, the idea of having, it was not, a year or two after Patrick Mahomes had the dislocated kneecap and the Chiefs quit using him on short yardage that, there was kind of an idea like, hey, we'd like to get this guy, we'd like to get a quarterback that we could use in those situations. And all of a sudden, like, Jacoby Brissett goes for $5 or $6 million. I mean, it's been a few years since I heard that. I hadn't heard it lately, but this kind of fits with that mindset. And I think if you're not going to have Kareem Hunt back, and you think he was a big part of the cheat code. Like, I do think that they'll probably have some kind of package for him in the short yardage. Like, I do think it's at least in the back of their head of using him on the short yardage. The question is,
it should be. It should be. Will it be? Because look, it's a tough sell to. First of all, the optics of Patrick Mahomes running off the field on 3rd or 4th down would be unusual.
Like, we've seen Drew Brees, but to that point, we've seen Drew Brees come off the field.
Yeah,
see Taysom Hill run.
Absolutely. And I wrote a column yesterday in the Star saying that they should do this. I just don't have confidence that they will, because the reason I'll say that they should is because you take off the best player on your team when you take him out of the field and put in Justin Fields. But when you leave Patrick Mahomes in the game on 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1, you're actually taking out the best play in the NFL, because the sneak is remarkably successful. There were only 3 teams in the NFL that didn't run a quarterback sneak last year. Of course, the Chiefs were one of them. Exactly half the league ran at least 10 quarterback sneaks. And so if you just look at those 16 teams, their success rate was 77% on quarterback sneaks. The best 3rd and 4th short team in the entire league last year got to 72%. The Chiefs were 2nd in the NFL in short yardage. And we never talked about it because Kareem Hunt was so good at it. He was 85%, 34 first downs. No other running back had more than 17 first downs. Well, Justin Fields was really good in this area too. He was 12 out of 14 when running the ball on 3rd or 4th and short. That's 85.7%, actually a little bit better than Kareem Hunt. He averaged more first downs per game on short yardage than any quarterback in the league. Like, if they want to use him this way, this would be a really great use for him. I just don't have the confidence that they'll do it.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure, because, like I said, it's been a while since I heard that, and it's never come to fruition, but till now. And you know what? To think of it, it goes back to pre-Matt Nagy when I heard that. So, maybe it's like this was as much an Eric Bieniemy idea, and now Eric Bieniemy's back in town, and he's pushing for this kind of thing. Listen, I think all parties involved have a vision for what this can be, but I do think, Jeff, the question is, will it actually happen? I think the question also is this their idea of, like, this is our best way to maybe, pitch backwards if Patrick Mahomes doesn't show up? Does this give you any doubt on Patrick Mahomes being ready for week 1 when they go out and get a guy that, let's be honest, a year ago signed a 2-year, $40 million deal? I mean, not a guy who's thought of as just a complete washout. There are people that were last year thinking, hey, we got to give multiple years at $20 million to get this guy.
Oh, there's, a lot of people have been tantalized by Justin Fields' skill set. And I get it. Like, you look at his running ability, and there is an element there where you're like, he could be Lamar Jackson light if he was really able to put it together as a passer. Unfortunately, that hasn't happened, and people have found out that it was a mistake. The thing I don't know, to answer your question, I have doubts about Mahomes being ready in week 1. And it's not so much about whether he's going to rehab right or put all the work in, or it's just a question of, are you going to put him out there when he's as close to 100% as possible? Or are you going to put him out there when he's 80% just to say he made it back for week 1? And to me, that's stupid. The latter is stupid. And so if you're in a situation where doctors are saying a few more games wouldn't have hurt, a little more time, and that's going to be a fight they're going to have. I have no doubt about that he's going to want to be playing in week 1, and they're going to have to say, if you're not ready, we're not putting you out there. But again, if this look, they're already making a statement that this is the way they want to go if he's not out there. And so if they're going to do that, I think what Sam is saying is right. They have to alter their offense to fit what he does, not go out there and say, well, he's with us, we can make it work.
I mentioned the 2 for $40, Sam, but in reality, he was given a $15 million signing bonus. $30 million of it was guaranteed. $20 million of it was paid last year, so there's $10 million more he's getting. The Chiefs are only going to pay $3 million of that, so their investment is only $3 million in a future 6th-round pick. That is not like, okay, we got to get our money's worth, right? That's a little bit more than the league minimum for a veteran. Like, this is still a cost-effective move. This doesn't scream, we paid a lot of money to make sure we've got sharp quarterback play for 8 games.
Yeah, and that's why I that was top of the list for what I thought it made the most sense, is just the price. And I mean, Gardner Minshew signed for twice this amount. just last week. And so like you're getting a very cost-effective solution here. And other people have pointed this out. I'm certainly not the first person to point this out, but while there's still some free agency to go, as it sits right now, the Chiefs are probably looking at to where they probably actually would have had a 7th-round pick anyway, based on the comp formula. So I think it really only costs them. They'll get the 7th back that they would have had to pay for a backup quarterback, and it's only going to cost them. It's more like moving from the 6th to the 7th round. Like this is a really cheap move, and I had been hearing some things that the Chiefs might be more interested in like a trade market for that reason, for cost reason. But Justin Fields just wasn't on my radar for all the reasons we've mentioned. He does not play quarterback remotely similar, even similar style. Like you couldn't even call him. I mean, Jeff called him that the hope for Justin Fields was that he'd be Lamar Jackson light. He's not saying he's as good as Lamar Jackson. He's saying that's the style. That's the intent. The intent for Justin Fields to be at his best is not the way that Patrick Mahomes plays. And so it is a different fit unless you are willing to use him in this way, in which case you want a different style than Patrick Mahomes. You want the legs in play on 3rd and 4th and short, because to me, it's not just about the quarterback and his ability to convert. But when you have that quarterback available on 3rd and short, it opens up your running game in a different way too, because no one thought the quarterback was running the ball on 3rd and short last year or 4th and short last year. When Justin Fields is in the game, you got to account for that. And so like Breece Hall was terrific at short yardage a year ago. And he was way better with Justin Fields playing than he was when Fields was out. He carried 9 times at like 6 yards per carry on short yardage with Justin Fields. He carried 7 times at 2 yards a carry when Justin Fields was benched. So like there's a real element to having your quarterback's legs in play to your running game as well, not just him picking it up.
Yeah, I do. I think we're going to see him at some point in that kind of in that kind of scenario. We had somebody mention.
So just real quick, there is an important element of this, which is he didn't want to do this in New York after he got benched.
Right.
It's like, is the player bought in to the idea that we think could work for the Chiefs as well?
It gets easier for him to buy in when it's Patrick Mahomes in front of him, doesn't it? I mean, you want to get on the field or not?
That's some Brady Cook slander, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, just decide you want to be on the field or not. Yeah. And Terry brings up a good point. I mean, this is the comment: 4-0 season, 4 years. I mean, he gets a chance to play under Andy Reid. Jeff, do we think that Andy Reid is the right guy to turn his career around?
It's possible. I mean, Andy Reid hasn't done this in a long time, but earlier on in his career, he was known as a guy who could take just about anybody playing quarterback and make it work. And so I think the best case scenario for someone like Justin Fields, and this is probably not fair to him because he's played a lot more than this guy, but you look at a Malik Willis who was doing nothing in this league until he got to Green Bay and sat behind, what's his name, Jordan Love, and worked under worked in a system that allowed him to grow and find himself and understand himself. And now he's got a nice gig in Miami. He's still a risk, but he's grown from that. And so if you're Justin Fields, this is just about your last shot of being a starter somewhere. You've had a lot of opportunities to make it work and no one's thought you could do it. So yeah, you come here, you're a backup for a year, you learn, and maybe you do go on the field in a situation a couple times to show what you can do. And if he shows something, it could turn his entire career around. And not just Malik Willis, obviously, Daniel Jones, Sam Darnold, all these guys who've done that. So, yeah, I think he should be looking at this in a way he should be embracing this opportunity. But I would also say this. Let's not forget how the offense looked when it was Gardner Minshew running it. And Gardner Minshew is a way more accomplished quarterback in this league than Justin Fields. It looked awful. And so I don't have much hope that it's going to look better if he's running it, no matter what he does with his legs.
Sam Darnold turning his career around, I mean, did a lot for a lot of guys that came in with pedigree. Like, okay, let's give him another. I mean, Darnold was on his, 4th team when it clicked with the Vikings? Yeah, because his 5th, he became only like the second quarterback to be on his 5th team to get to the Super Bowl. Oh. So it finally clicked on his 4th team. So that's given new life to that. Well, wait a minute. We thought he had something. He was a top 10 pick, top 11. In the case of Fields, I think he was 11th. Yeah, 11. Okay, there's a pedigree here. Let's give this guy another shot. And I think that's the other thing, Sam, unless we see them put some kind of extension together for him, this is just a one and done deal because there's no scenario, right, that has him sticking around. Like, the best case scenario has him not playing. Let's take that off the board.
Yep.
Has Patrick Mahomes being ready to go week 1 and you don't need him and he only plays mop up, the rest of the year. So that's the best case scenario for the Chiefs. What's the best case scenario for Justin Fields? There is none that has him staying in a Kansas City uniform next year, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess best case scenario is he does have like a Taysom Hill like season. And you remember Taysom Hill got like ridiculous money after he had that season. Like Sean Payton really believed it was an integral part of their offense. I think that's pie in the sky best case scenario for Justin Fields. But yeah, I mean, more than likely he's going to be one and done. And I think the other piece of best case scenario for the Chiefs is that maybe the front office has told Andy Reid, if you really want to run the RPO, we got you a guy.
Yeah.
Stop running it with 15. Go run it with this guy instead.
There was somebody in the comment section had something to that effect. I thought the RPOs were gone, but alas, I think they're still here. I did see that one somewhere in there. I apologize.
Yeah, I'm sure. I think of how much he's been under center in his career. I think he's been 99% shotgun.
Yeah, I mean, I do think it's part of it. Well, I mean, at the end, thumbs up, thumbs down. I like the move. Thumbs up. I think it's as good a move as they could have made for the backup quarterback. You agree, Jeff?
I mean, there are some other guys out there that they could have gone after, but
for this price, for this cost,
yeah, for the price and the cost, I'll give it thumbs up for that. It's not a huge risk.
All right, Sam.
Yeah, I agree. It's one of the things that's weird. Like, it's not based necessarily on how he plays. I think it's how we're going to grade these other free agents, but as much as how they use them, especially if they're willing to use them occasionally. I think it's a real positive, because here's the other potential for this. Use them like this for the first month of the season. Every team's going to have to spend part of its practice preparing for it as well, and that's not a bad thing either.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, we want to get into how the rest of the AFC West is done in free agency, where the Chiefs sit in the AFC West. We'll do it after you hear from our friends at Gann Asphalt and Concrete. Concrete season is in full swing, and asphalt paving is revving up. So right now is the time to get your property on the schedule with Gann Asphalt and Concrete. Whether you need new concrete work, a parking lot repaved, crack filling, seal coating, or full asphalt installation, their experienced crews handle it all right here in Kansas City. Don't wait until the rush hits. Call today for a free bid and secure your spot before the calendar fills up. Get the process started right now at GannAsphalt.com. That's GannAsphalt.com. Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lots. Italian Delight was the first restaurant to bring true New York-style pizza to Kansas City almost 50 years ago. They sell whole pies or pizza by the slice, or enjoy their classic strombolis, calzones, and sausage rolls. Sandwich lovers, check out their lineup of hot and cold subs, the combo, the meatball, or the Philly cheesesteak, just to name a few. And don't forget the pasta. Their famous lasagna and classic chicken Alfredo always hit the spot. And if you're hungry for lunch, check out their daily lunch specials, starting at under $10. Italian Delight can even cater your next work function or party. Dine-in, carry-out, or delivery, it's Italian Delight. Located just 3 minutes east of Kansas Speedway at 8145 State Ave in KCK. Check out the menu and order online at ItalianDelightKS.com. Kansas City's own Italian Delight. All right, let's talk a little bit about what we think the Raiders have done. We'll start with them. They were at the bottom. We'll work our way from the bottom to the top. What we like, don't like, those kind of things, whether or not the team is actually better or worse right now. With the Raiders, Jeff, what's their best move?
Let me make sure I wrote this down correctly. I want to make sure I say it right. I know it's going to sound weird. Tyler Linderbaum is their best move.
Okay. All right. Well, geez, you got me nervous there. I'm like, okay.
He's their best move. Now, I was thinking about somebody else, but I was prepared. You guys had a different argument. Tyler Linderbaum's their best move. I know it's a lot of money. I know it's way more money than any center's ever gotten, but he's a great player. They're going to draft a quarterback. Their run game stunk last year, and their first-round pick was a running back. He's a leader coming from a winning organization. They had a ton of money to spend, so the money to me is all relative. I think it's a smart play for a team that had to get better in the trenches. They were horrible on their offensive line last year.
Yeah. Sam, where do you sit? What's the best move?
Well, the best move that they actually made was the one that the Ravens took back.
Yeah.
Because, like, getting 2 first-round picks for Max Crosby coming off surgery at his age, it's so good. When's the last time the Raiders made a move so good that the rest of the league like basically pressured the GM. The GM felt the pressure, I think, for how bad of a move it was to say, I got to find a way to get out of this. And I know that they've said it's an injury, but like the injury was ahead of time. He'd had surgery. Like they shouldn't have been surprised by that. I do agree with the Linderbaum thing, even though it's like 150% of what any center's ever made. First of all, the Raiders can afford it. They're going to have a rookie quarterback on a rookie salary. Their salary cap space was a ton. They've spent the second most money of every team. I think some of it they could have spent smarter, but we just talked about it with Justin Fields and with Sam Darnold that you brought up, Soren. You can add Baker Mayfield to it. Situation matters a ton for a quarterback. We can look at all of his metrics and the combine and his college stats and who he played against in college, what he needs to work on. But to me, the best indicator of success in the NFL among these top of the top prospects is just situation. And you cannot put him behind an offensive line that's just atrocious. I actually think they should be investing even more in the offensive line, but I think that's a spot where if you're going to overpay, like overpaying for the quarterback center is not a bad idea.
Yeah, I tend to think that they were, the plan was to use draft picks on offensive line as well, based upon where they did things. I'm with you. The Max Crosby deal, the Ravens suck. I mean, that's just it. Like if they don't become the great villain of the NFL, like they backed out on free agent deals, now they backed out on a trade. Like not for 1 second do I think that they did anything other than go, holy crap, this sucks. And I've already said it. I think Hendrickson overshot his market. The money was drying up. His agent quickly got on the phone and went back around the league and said, okay, we'll take your last best offer. And the Ravens said, okay, we'll get it done. We'll back out of this deal. I mean, I think it's just absolute dirty pool being played by the Baltimore Ravens. But and you mentioned Linderbaum being 150% of the center market. I've got Linderbaum as the best move as well. And I know the centers have always lagged behind the guards, and I don't know why, because I would rather have a good center than a good guard.
Yeah.
And I think the center should be higher paid than the guards. So I look at it as more Trey Smith reset the interior offensive line mark at $23 million, and he took it to 27. I know he jumped, where Creed Humphrey was, but I mean, Creed Humphrey was a great deal, was a team-friendly deal for the Chiefs. I think that's what we're seeing. And I think the center is even more important. So I actually don't think the Raiders overpaid. I think this is where it should go because I think a center should be the highest paid interior offensive lineman. And so I like this deal a lot. Like I think it's a great move for the Raiders. It's not just their best move. It's a great move to try to solidify that offensive line and start where the ball starts, start with the guy who makes the line calls. I think they're finally doing smart football moves when they do Tyler Linderbaum. I love it. I think it's a great one. Worst move, Jeff.
This hurts because he's a Michigan guy, but Kwity Paye signing former Colts edge rusher for 3 years for $48 million. I understand the idea behind it because Max Crosby was out the door when you did it, but he's not. He's an average pass rusher, and that's what you really want from him. He's a really good run defender. He's really good at that. But he had 4 sacks last year. He's coming off a down year, and as Sam just mentioned, there were other options out there. You could have probably gone and gotten Trey Anderson if you wanted to. I know they didn't want to get that old, maybe, but still, it's like to get a guy like that, and you've already got Tyrese Wilson, who hasn't worked out for you, a top 10 pick. You bring back Malcolm Koonce. It's just, he's an okay guy, but he's not going to really be a factor when it comes to rushing the passer. And in this division, especially, you want to have that be an element of a guy you're spending money on in free agency.
All right, where'd you go for the worst move, Sam?
Yeah, I want the same guy. I mean, Kwity Paye, that contract surprised me because, and look, I mean, all free agents get overpaid. It's part of the reward for reaching free agency and the fact that teams are filling needs. But there were some edge rushers available in this class, better than what you typically see. And the Raiders being in a spot, I mean, they spent like $280-some million. I just think they could have spent more here and less somewhere else. Kwity Paye's pressure numbers are like in the Charles Omenihu ballpark. Like he's at 10.7 pressure rate last year, 12.4, 10.9, 9.6, and 9.8 over his career, which is so only once in his career has he hit 11% pressure rate. And like I said, other than last year when Omenihu was hurt, he compares pretty favorably to what Kwity Paye's put up. And I'm surprised that wound up being his going rate.
Yeah, that's interesting. Kwity Paye was who I went to first. Like that's where I'm like, okay, this is where we got to go on this one. But then the more I thought about it, I get, and I know you guys mentioned this as well, but I get what they were thinking. And it went hand in hand with Max Crosby. And that's why I'm not going to ding him for Kwity Paye, because they overpaid for him. Everything you guys said about it is right. But this was supposed to be we're going to move him for the picks, and we're going to look for another edge rusher, and we're going to rebuild the roster. And this gives us a young guy who can at least set the edge, and maybe we can unlock some potential here. For me, I know they're trying to fix the defense, but take your pick on either one of the off-ball linebackers. Like, I don't know why you're signing two of those guys. And so I put down Quay Walker. That for me, because Kwity Paye, like I said, I think he's at least a serviceable guy opposite a really good one. If you can find a really good one. I know they don't have it, but he'll play competent football, and that position's harder to find than it is off-ball linebacker. So I went Quay Walker. This one's a no-brainer. We don't need to spend much time on it. Better or worse, Jeff?
Oh, they're better. They couldn't get worse.
Right?
Yeah, definitely better. Made a lot of smart moves with some a lot of young players. They got younger. They got more talented. Yeah, definitely better.
Yeah, better.
Yeah.
You agree, Sam?
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's absolute no-brainer that they got better. All right, let's move to the Chargers. Jeff, what's the Chargers' best move as you see it so far in this offseason?
I went back and forth on this because they're not a team that makes a ton of moves at this time of year. They're more about drafting and development, that whole Ravens mentality. But I thought signing Tyler Biadasz, the center, was super important for them. Obviously, Bradley Bozeman retired. As much as we talk about Jim Harbaugh and the offensive line, what they want to do, and their tackles, like, their interior offensive line is a mess right now. And with Biadasz leaving, with releasing Mekhi Becton, who didn't work out for them, and then Zion Johnson signs a big deal with Cleveland, which surprised some people given how he wasn't playing that great either. I mean, you're talking about the entire interior offensive line being replaced. And so to get a guy who's a pretty good player at that position, who Washington gave up on, I think that's a huge win for a team that wants to run the football and take care of their quarterback.
Sam?
Yeah, I wanted to go there, but I just don't think he's that great of a player. I think he's below average in the league. So it's hard to pick the Chargers. They don't give us many options to pick
No, they don't.
on either of these. So, like, I wouldn't say I'm crazy about anyone that they've added, but I put down Keaton Mitchell. I just think is an under the radar potential good ad. 10 of his 59 runs last year, explosive rushes. This is a guy who I think fits in pretty well to Mike McDaniel's run scheme, which is all based on speed. He's the fastest running back in the NFL. He's the guy who gets to 20 miles an hour more often. I think he led the NFL in 20-mile-per-hour runs despite carrying the ball 59 times last year. So I could see that potentially us looking back and being like, oh, yeah, that was a great fit for Mike McDaniel's run scheme.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I'm with Jeff, though. I mean, I think more of Biadasz, but I think when you've got two tackles that are question marks coming back, you better be stronger on the inside. When you got a young quarterback, I think Biadasz is I think on PFF he was graded the number 12 center last year. So that puts him about average. It puts him in that middle 10. And the numbers are all pretty finite right there as the differences. But I think it's important to be strong there, particularly, I say young quarterback. He's not getting, younger. I mean, he's getting up there, but he's not he's more mobile than you think. But, I think just he takes a lot of hits. And if you can improve that, and they want to be an offensive line team. They want to be a ground and pound team. And so they get better at the center spot. I went Tyler Biadasz. Worst move, Jeff, for the Chargers. Where'd you go?
I actually went to the guy Sam just mentioned, Keaton Mitchell, and probably largely because there's not a lot of options. You got to pick somebody. I didn't like it because, one, I think they go back to the well a lot there. They picked up Charlie Kohler, the tight end from the Ravens as well. To me, he was an ascending player when he got hurt for that ACL injury. And I think he got some of that back last year, but he's still, to me, a little bit of a gamble for what was out there. I think you could have found other running backs at the same price range who were a little more accomplished and had a lot more opportunity with the football in their hands. And I think they're able to manufacture running backs pretty good. They had a practice squad guy out there running for 100 yards last year for this team. And so to me, it's less about the player, more about, I don't think that they had to go out and spend money to find a guy. They could have either drafted somebody or found somebody within the building to do what he's going to do for them.
Yeah. It was tough because, I mean, I actually think all their moves are responsible.
Yeah.
So I don't have any like one where I'm like, oh, that's terrible. I guess I went ahead and begrudgingly put down Dalvin Tom. Oh, Sam, I skipped you. I'm sorry, but I'll go ahead and go now. I went ahead and put down Dalvin Thompson or Tomlinson.
Yeah.
Just because, he's starting to get a little longer in the tooth. He's been okay, but never dominant. You're signing him to a 1-year deal. How much do you even believe in him? But it's a 1-year deal. Even that's not bad, right? Like, I mean, he's had moments, but so I had a hard time. This is where I had a hard time finding somebody to put into the slot. Sam, where'd you go worst move?
I just put not giving Justin Herbert more help. I mean, it's been like for 3 years now where you watch it and say, wow, that guy throws a great ball. Wow, that guy's accurate. Wow, that guy's actually pretty mobile. Wow, that guy's tough in the pocket. He's willing to take a hit. And the Chargers don't do anything in the postseason. You've got to give him more help. And when you bring in Mike McDowell as an offensive coordinator, I mean, look at when his system is best, is when most NFL systems are better. Like, it's all dependent on speed. Like, he uses a ton of motion. And they don't have it in their wide receiver room. I mean, like Quentin Johnson and Ladd McConkey are not burners at all. And those are by far the two best wide receivers on your roster. So I thought they should have prioritized trying to get a burner of some sort to fit Mike McDaniel's offense.
Yeah, I think especially when you see what the Broncos did, yesterday.
Yeah.
Jalen Waddle, I've been driving for 3 days basically, so my brain's a little bit mush here, but yeah, when you see the Broncos make the move for Waddle, you're like, why wasn't that the Chargers move, right? Like, why weren't they trying to take that next step? They didn't do it. All right, better or worse for the Chargers, Jeff?
They got worse, or they are worse right now, and some of what Sam said is exactly true. I was trying to think about the receiver spot, but it's hard because they're so beholden to their guys. They're so stubborn about the people they develop and draft and seeing certain traits other people can't see that. And it's worked, but I don't know if it's going to take them to that next level. I think at some point you have to start bringing a little more juice in and taking a few more risks. And so maybe they'll do that in the draft, but right now I think they're a worse team than they were last year.
Yeah, I think just losing Dafe Owe, they back up the bus right there. I think that's enough. Sam, I keep skipping you. I'm sorry. But I'll go again. I think they're worse as well. Sam, where are you?
Yeah, as compared to last year, I would say better because they get their left and right tackle back.
But off the moves,
off the moves of free agency,
right.
I think they're worse. Yeah, I think Owe is a significant loss for them. They give Khalil Mack a pretty good paycheck, even though it's only for 1 year. I think their defense is going to be worse. So I think overall they're worse.
Yeah, I think the Chargers got worse as well. I think so. Yeah, that's and that put a smile on my face as a Chiefs fan. I'm like, oh yeah, I don't think this adds up here. All right, we still got the Denver Broncos to go. We'll do that after you hear from our friends at Northland Injury Law. Northland Injury Law, Kansas City's Google 5-star rated personal injury lawyers, serving KC for more than 40 years, voted Kansas City's #1 accident lawyers, helping people with serious injuries from car accidents, work accidents, falls, and other personal injuries. Northland Injury Law doesn't get paid unless they get money for their client. Don't wait, get compensated now. If you have a case, text HURT to 22222. That's HURT to 22222, or call 816-400-HURT. That's 816-400-4878. The choice of a lawyer is an important one and should not be based solely upon advertisements. Gann Asphalt and Concrete is looking to grow their team. If you have heavy construction foreman experience with heavy equipment, asphalt or concrete labor, or just want to learn a new trade, contact Gann Asphalt and Concrete to join their team today. Top of the market pay, company provided insurance, and paid time off and holiday pay are just a few of the great reasons to join Gann's expanding team. Learn more about this great opportunity with Gann at GannAsphalt.com/careers. That's GannAsphalt.com/careers. Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lots. All right, let's talk a little bit about the Denver Broncos. They were, by the way, because we kind of talked about kicking around the AFC. Like, overall, the AFC is pretty bland. Like, what we're hearing here, it was pretty bland as a conference, right? Like, we're not the Jalen Waddle thing was a big move because you hadn't seen a whole lot from anybody in the AFC. I know we were talking about, we had an idea of going even bigger on this, which we'll probably do later, but that's the one theme that I think you'll find throughout the AFC, with the exception of maybe the Bengals. But we can get to them, like I said, on down the road. But best move for the Denver Broncos, Jeff, what was it?
Again, a tough team because not a lot to work with here, but I went Jaylen Waddle. And I begrudgingly went with Jaylen Waddle. I mean, make that clarifier in there because the qualifier in, because I mean it's a lot to give up for him. If you had told me Jaylen Waddle was going to get a first round pick, let alone 3 picks on top of that, I would have laughed at you. And this speaks to how desperate the Broncos are to try to keep that momentum going from last year, and they're getting ready to pay the quarterback pretty good. They were a horrible team throwing the football down the field. They were one of the worst teams in the league when it came to deep ball accuracy and success rate. So I get it. And like, you pair him with Courtland Sutton, you give Bo Nix a chance to be more dynamic in the pass game. It was also surprising because they got a lot of other receivers, Mims and Troy Franklin and guys they've spent draft picks on. But Waddle has that deep speed. He has that. He's pretty good as an intermediate receiver on crossing routes as well. So that play action can be a big part of what Sean Payton wants to do. So for lack of other options, I'll go with Jaylen Waddle.
Sam?
I went with not outbidding the Titans for Franklin Myers. And I think that Franklin Myers is going to be a pretty big loss for them, but he's going to be 30. And I don't think it's a good idea to pay a 31, 32, and 33-year-old defensive tackle $21 million a year. And I also think that while he's a good player, he's largely a product of what's around him. And we have seen with the Chiefs, you need somebody in that spot, but I just think they could spend their money more wisely than $21 million there. So I think some of the times the best deals are the ones you don't pay.
Yeah, I went passing on Franklin Myers is the way I put it as well. I think that's it. Jaylen Waddle made me really stop and think. Franklin Myers, when I looked at him, I'm like, oh, okay, there's a guy the Chiefs could get. And I'm like, the price where it's going to go and his age, like I really hope the Chiefs don't throw a bunch of money at this guy. So if I was thinking, okay, for a team that theoretically they are talking about, needing to rebuild a little bit, but still thinking Super Bowl, if I didn't think it was the right move for them, then I think it's the right move for the Broncos to move on. And I get it a little bit. I think the Titans are thinking culture change and let's stock up on the inside. I don't mind it for the Titans. Like, I wouldn't call it their worst move. But I think for the Broncos, one of the things you did was get out of cap hell and surround the first-year quarterback with a lot of talent. To turn around and go Chiefs, Jags and Stars, or Stars and Jags, I don't think it would be good. So I think this allowed them. In fact, I think if they have Franklin Myers, they don't get Waddle, right? Yeah. So I think this move enabled the other one. I think those two go in tandem, however you want to describe it. One doesn't happen without the other. So I think both of those are part of it. All right. Worst move, Jeff, for the Broncos.
Re-signing J.K. Dobbins. I thought they'd be a little more willing to go out and find a more durable back. And I like J.K. Dobbins when he plays. The problem is you're never going to get a full season out of him, which was the case last year. And you saw how their offense was impacted by that going into the postseason. Like, they missed that element. The rookie was good for them. But to me, it's like there were other options out there you could have had around the same money, and to stick with that one, you're playing with fire a little bit. So I thought they'd really betting on the wrong guy.
Okay. Sam?
Yeah, Dobbins is near the top of my list, but I'm actually going to group a few guys together and say that they decided to run it back with a few positions that I thought they needed to get better. And we've seen a team do that when they win a bunch of one-score games and decide that it all was great the year before and all worked perfectly together in harmony, and let's just bring everybody back. I mean, the Chiefs or the Broncos won 11 one-score games last year, and I think 6 of those were like a field goal or less. I mean, they were just in a remarkable amount of tight games, and most of them went their way. I think they were 11-2 maybe in one-score games, and they bring back like Adam Troutman on a 3-year deal. A backup tight end on a 3-year deal. Where have you heard that one before? A 32-year-old linebacker on a 2-year deal, multi-year deal. Where have you heard that one before? Like, to me, there's some repetition there with the way that they re-signed some guys versus the way the Chiefs did over the last couple of years that I think maybe they should have learned the lesson from what didn't work for the Chiefs. And I see them making some similarities. And I understand it can seem like $6 million here and $7 million there and $8 million to J.K. Dobbins is no big deal. We've seen with this year with the Chiefs, like this stuff adds up pretty quickly. And I don't know why they thought that, there are a couple of those deals. I was like, who are you bidding against to pay J.K. Dobbins $8 million per year for 2 years? He's played 32 games in 5 years.
Yeah. I don't like them losing Dre Greenlaw. I'm gonna put that one out there. Like when it only was a 1-year deal, I think he was good. PFF had him as the 16th ranked linebacker, so that puts him middle of, you have 3 off-ball linebackers, and he's that's 48 or what 90. What am I doing here? Yeah, 96 starting linebackers theoretically. If you want to say everybody plays 2, they play the nickel. Find that 64 of them. I don't like them losing him, but J.K. Dobbins is it, man. Like why are you going out and re-signing a guy? Like you hit it by getting him at $3 million, right? The answer is not to go get him more. Now I will say this. One of the things I will say in their defense, that's where I immediately jumped to, and then I started back off because I'm like, well, $8 million for Javonte Williams, 14, 15 million for Kenneth Walker. Where were you going to go? But they have a second-round running back. I know he's undersized, but you took him in the second round, right? Like the kid from Central Florida. And if you don't like him, I mean, then maybe that's part of it. Is like, okay, we kind of screwed up in the draft. Let's not compound that problem and put it all on his shoulders. Let's make sure we sign somebody. But you beat the system last year, right? And now you're going and you're just chasing the price. I didn't get it. Like I expect Sean Payton to be able to be like, hey, I can plug in any back and we'll be successful. Plus Dobbins has a history of being hurt, and he's hurt, and he was hurt again. So why are you now upping the amount of money you're giving him?
Yeah, why did he cost more? I mean, what was he the year before? I mean, he was just like $4 million or $2 million.
He's less. Yeah, he was less than Elijah Mitchell.
I think he was like $2.1 million last year, and then he gets a Liz Frank injury, a pretty serious foot injury, and he's going to be a year older. He's going to be 28 by the end of the year, and all of a sudden now he's worth more and a multi-year deal. That's why I phrased it the way of like, who are you outbidding in that situation? Because there wasn't a market for him last year.
In their defense, it's a deal they can get out after 1 year, but they get out, they'll carry dead money if they do get out from under it. So yeah, I'm not understanding how this was supposed to work for them, why they think it was going to work. But anyway, all right, better or worse, Jeff?
I think they're a little bit better because of Waddle, but not substantially. It's very close to being the other way. But I'll give them Waddle. If Waddle does what he is supposed to be able to do and not what he's done the last couple of years in Miami with a bad team, granted, they'll be a better team.
Okay, so they are better because of the Waddle move, basically. All right, Sam?
Yeah, this is tough. I guess I would say better for this year, and probably because of the consequences of the Waddle trade and some of these other multi-year deals, I think they become worse afterwards. But I also don't. I think better does not at all mean better record. Like I do not think the Broncos are going to have a better record. It's just whether or not they're a better football team. And Soren, you and I didn't comment on the Waddle deal because it wasn't our best or worst deal. I think he's a great fit for what they want to do because he's opposite Cortland Sutton. They're different style of receivers. It's just a ton to give up because you also have to pay the player and you've got to give up. I think there's a lesson really for a lot of teams throughout this entire free agency period, which is it can be slim pickings in free agency. And guess what becomes the best capital? The players who are already on your roster can really build your future. Man, we've seen a lot of teams give up a lot for existing players this offseason.
Yeah, I've got them better as well. I kind of like the way you put it, better now. I didn't think of it in terms of the long haul, but I think you're absolutely right. They're better now, but they're sacrificing for the future, which I'm actually okay with because, they are playing with the first-year quarterback contract, so take advantage of it while you can. I do like the Waddle fit, so I think they're better. I'm assuming the medical reports are good on J.K. Dobbins because they gave him that contract. He won't play 17 games. He'll get hurt with something else. But they had room to lose on defense, some talent. So, and I think they've got good coaching there. So the players they bring in, I think, will play well. But I think they're better, but not by much. Not by much. And if there's any kind of regression out of the quarterback, then they could be worse. And I think the record will be worse. I'm with you based upon the schedule. All right, so where do the Chiefs stack up in the AFC West as we get near the draft and the bulk of the free agent lifting has gone on? Where are the Chiefs now in this mix, Jeff?
I'd put them at second. Probably, I think the Broncos are still the best team in the division, but I put them at second above the Chargers right now. Given what they've done and what the Chargers have done, I think there's still a lot more work to do, but I don't think the Chargers, as I said, got better. They got worse. So I think that the Chiefs did get better what they've done. So I'll go with them at 2.
Okay. Second behind
Broncos.
Behind Broncos. Okay. Sam?
Yeah, I mean, the Chiefs are going to enter training camp as the betting favorite in the AFC West. And I think them, the Broncos and Chargers, of course, I think are the 3 teams that could compete, and they all should be about even. They are all listed about even right now, but it's one of the few divisions where I would not pick any single team over the field. But having to pick a single team, I guess I think I would say the Chiefs.
Okay. I'm going to go second right now, but I think
behind which teams?
Behind the Broncos. I just think I'm leery of the Chargers. I'm just leery of Jim Harbaugh getting it more than I do, and moves that I don't think are as good. We're gonna be like, holy cow, that really worked, and wow, that really worked, and because I think Jim Harbaugh is really good at what he does. I also think he grinds, and we're now going into year 3, and I think usually your shelf lives are less. And so I think there is an element. I would be a little bit worried that, people get tired of his crap and it starts to, how hard he wants everyone to work and everything, and that it starts to wear off a little bit. If they'd had great playoff success, I would have been a little bit more confident that, they were going to have success this year, or gain this year. But I don't think that carrot got put in front of everybody. But I think the Chargers are going to be tough. It could be the Chargers. It could be the Broncos. It could be the Chiefs. I do think the way you put it on the betting market, Sam, they're all wide open. But I'll take them second behind the Broncos. But I think there's a distinct possibility with the caliber of picks that they have that they can overtake the Broncos after the draft. I mean, I think it's going to be interesting to see what they do after the draft. And I do think there'll still be some important signings of some of the 1 year 30 pluses, right? I think some of these teams may put themselves over the top if you can find the right 30 plus guy to come in and give you one good year. I think like if Joey Bosa all of a sudden ended up on the Chiefs, I feel better about the Chiefs, right? Then I'll go, okay, I'll take the Chiefs because for 8 games, I think they're going to be really tough up front. If I'd have to go look at some of the other free agents, the top free agents that are out there. But I think there's a couple that could still move the needle, and they have just kind of that 10 games that are really good, that put you over the top. They play the games that you really need, that I think could tilt the balance of power with any one of these teams. So I'll say second, but I could see first, second, or third easily. I don't think the Raiders, with a first-year quarterback, are ready to climb out of the bottom, but they're making strides. I'll give them that. They're going in the right direction. Can we agree with that?
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, and you did mention the draft picks. I mean, the Chiefs will pick 3 times in the top 41. The Broncos won't pick till the 62nd in this draft, and the Chiefs will pick, I think it's 4 times before the Broncos will take their second pick as well. So part of that I think factors into what you see in the market right now, and what I believe the Chiefs will enter training camp as the favorite is because they're at 9, they're at 29. The Broncos don't like the Broncos. Free agency and their additions to this offseason are pretty close to complete.
Yeah, no doubt. Listen, you can always support the Red, Gold, and Bold by supporting our great sponsors, Gann Asphalt and Concrete, Kansas City's best. If you have a problem in your parking lot, let Gann Asphalt and Concrete solve that problem for you. Concrete season's in full swing. Asphalt paving gets started here, well, right about now. Get your property on the schedule right now with Gann Asphalt and Concrete. Find them online at GannAsphalt.com. One contractor, all things parking lot. Our good buddy Renee and his great team at Italian Delight. You know, they've got lunch specials starting at under $10. They're just a few miles east of the Kansas Speedway at State Avenue, 8145 State Avenue. You can find them online at ItalianDelightKS.com. The very first restaurant to bring true New York-style pizza to Kansas City is Italian Delight. And, of course, our friends at Northland Injury Law. If you have a case, text HURT to 22222 or call 816-400-HURT for more than 40 years. Voted KC's #1 accident lawyers. It's Northland Injury Law. Again, find them online or text right now, I guess I should say. HURT to 22222. They're Kansas City's best when it comes to helping you out in an accident. For Jeff Chadiha, for Sam McDowell, I'm Soren Petro saying thank you very much for joining us here on the Red Gold.